So it's time for yet another exciting Premier League transfer episode, and at this stage, it's safe to say it is less than a week until the new season starts, and that means proper football is back as we all know it. It seemed just yesterday, when Liverpool won that boring title, but yeah, a new campaign is here once again. But without wasting much time, let's go straight into it, and I'm sure this is one that Max will be happy about. Victor, rate Benjamin Šeško to Manchester United for £66.3 million pounds guaranteed, plus another £7.4 million add-ons on a 5-year contract, inclusive of a sell-on clause.
Yeah, it's not a bad one. Like, of course, he's not Isak, he's not Gyökeres, sure, but at the same time, the price strikes me as a bit high. So I'm gonna give this one a 6. Like, if I were a United fan, I would be much more excited about the team having brought in Cunha and Mbumo than Sheshko.
Fair point. Fair point. I think for me, the only thing here is the fact that they had to put in a sell-on clause after paying this amount of money. That's the stick
Leip-
part for me.
Leipzig can be tough to negotiate with. Like, they have a very clear view of what they're doing. They know where they stand in the world of football, so to speak. They're not a destination club. So they know what they're doing, and they can be quite tough in that sense. A lot like the Portuguese clubs, actually.
Yeah, fair enough. And still with you, Victor, with all the merry-go-round surrounding Isak, today we are seeing that he might leave tomorrow. We are saying that Eddie Howe is saying, oh, we want him to stay. Everything is conflicting at this point. With all the merry-go-round surrounding Isak, Newcastle, and Liverpool, where do you think the Swede will be playing his football next season? Considering the season is just, 5, 6 days away.
Yeah, not too long ago, I was quite confident about this one being sealed before the start of the season. Now, not so sure anymore. It seems like Newcastle have, like, I understand their stance as well. Okay, Isak has been a bit tough to deal with. Let's put it that way in PG terms. Yeah. I would say it's understandable for them to say, you know what, no, whatever comes in, no. They don't need the money anyway. Like, this also complicates matters for Liverpool and for Isak. Liverpool want Isak, Isak wants Liverpool, Isak wants nothing to do with Newcastle anymore, and he might be welcomed back into training, but I don't think that there's long-term future there. So I still think this one does go through in this window, but even if it doesn't, at the very latest next summer, definitely, because I don't see where, like, I cannot imagine Isak and Newcastle making nice again after this whole debacle.
Yeah, fair enough. The fans have literally turned on him so bad.
Yeah,
I think if it doesn't happen now, it happens in January, in my opinion. But
yeah.
anyways, moving on. Max, another rating. Mad and Manson, the goalkeeper, to West Ham for £18 million on a 5-year contract.
Mm, I definitely cannot rate it lower than 8, I'd say, because it's too cheap for this type of goalkeeper, even though he didn't show pretty much insane stuff last season, I'd say, but he's still a young, promising goalkeeper. Okay, 25 is not so young, but for the goalkeeper, it's still a young age, I'd say. So, yeah, I'd give it an 8 because they signed him for 5 years for 18 mil. He's, I'd say, good type of goalkeeper. He's playing with his legs and he sees the pitch, so I'll keep it an 8.
Fair enough. And still with you, Max. AC Milan have started discussing terms to sign Rasmus Hojlund from Manchester United, and they are ready to meet United's asking terms. £5 million loan fee, £39 million buy option clause, and also to cover his salary as well. The only thing is, Hojlund wants to remain at Manchester United even with the arrival of Shesko. What do you make of this situation?
I mean, I'm pretty much sure that one of two, Hojlund and Ziggy, should be out. We don't need three of them with Sheshko coming. I mean, probably even Hojlund is better than Ziggy, at least last season, but I see nothing about Ziggy leaving, so if we can make at least some money from one of these transfers, we should definitely do it, but player himself wants to stay, and I don't know why, because he's definitely not going as a starter, as I said last time we met, so I don't know what to do with this type of situation, actually.
Okay. And over to another rating, Victor. Malik Thiaw to Newcastle for £34.6 million on a 5-year contract.
The biggest shock here is that someone is actually willing to join Newcastle, right?
Mm.
I'm not entirely sure that this was a priority for them or should have been a priority for them. But I'll give it a 7 because I have seen the player on the pitch for AC Milan mostly, and I did like what I see. Like nothing outstanding, nothing like reminiscent of John Terry or anything, but a good player for a reasonable, let's say, amount of money. So maybe a 7 for this one.
Fair enough. And still with you, Victor. Rodri has suffered yet another injury setback and will be out until at least mid-September. And if we know how these injuries go, this mid-September could probably prolong till early October. Now, is this another potential problem for City ahead of the new campaign?
Okay, look, by right, it's not a huge deal because if it is actually mid-September, he only misses just a handful of games for City because we also have the international game at the
Yeah.
beginning,
Mm.
the international break at the beginning of September. So for City themselves, it's not a huge problem. However, the biggest question here is after all this, will he be the same player? That's where the brunt of the issue is, I think. And he might take even longer and come back in November even, but I think Guardiola would take this deal in a second, have him come back in November and be as good as he ever was, instead of coming back in September and be a shadow of his former self.
Mm. Yeah.
I don't think it will be a huge issue for City also because they did some smart signings early on in the window. They've got Reinders, for instance, who can cover there. They've got Nico Gonzalez as well, and I think they're covered. Neither of them is obviously the quality that Rodri has, but it's also not a drop off. I don't know to like uh, with all due respect to a Wolves level midfielder. So I think it might shape their campaign, but I think what might rather shape their campaign is how good does he come back, not when.
Fair enough. And just on a final note, something that we're used to seeing already in this transfer window, Liverpool being interested in a player Newcastle are interested in, and it's happening once again. Liverpool are now interested in beating Newcastle to the signature of Brentford Johan Wissa if they can't sign Alexander Isak. Max, what do you make of this?
I mean, it's kind of fun. But actually, I saw the rumors that Wisa himself doesn't want to join Liverpool and he wants only Newcastle. And probably he's the only player this window that wants Newcastle more than Liverpool, seems like. And actually, it's kind of expected because he's probably not gonna be a start at Liverpool. But if Newcastle selling Isak to somebody, maybe not even Liverpool, he's definitely their main target. So for the player himself, it's a good idea. But for Liverpool, I don't really see this transfer coming actually because you already signed Ekitike. You doesn't really need Wissa, to be honest. He's probably a bit lower or definitely not better player, and you already put 90 mil. You're not planning to put, I don't know, 50, 60 more mil. So I say it's a good move for Newcastle if it happens, but not for Liverpool.
Yeah, same thing I was thinking. But yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see how the striker merry-go-round unfolds. One thing is certain, Isak will probably play his football at Newcastle or Liverpool next season. We don't know which side he will be playing for, but he'll be playing for one of those sides. And we're just gonna have to see how everything unfolds. And in our next transfer episode, we'll be sure to give all the best bits as the Premier League countdown is now officially started.